We are going to continue our notes. This is session 2. We've already done all the bones, so we're going to start at the bottom here. It may not be the bottom of yours, I don't know. But we're starting on esophagus. The esophagus is part of the digestive system. It's the tube that goes from the throat to the stomach. It carries food. It is muscular, meaning there's muscles around it that squeeze. And it says a peristaltic wave of muscle in the esophagus moves food down to the stomach. Peristaltic, but that means that it squeezes, and then below it squeezes, and below it squeezes, and below it squeezes to push your food down. On the diagram, this is the esophagus. It goes into the stomach. There's a little muscle at the bottom that opens when the food gets down to the bottom. If you're ever like hungry, so you can drink a really cold sip of water, and you will feel the water go down and sit there for a second, because that peristaltic wave has to get down there before your stomach will open to let anything in. And of course, water doesn't need to be pushed down. Okay. So, starting on the next page, so you can actually see it. The next one is the stomach. It's digestive. It's a pouch in the abdomen. Chewed food is brought here. Muscles around the stomach churn it so that the stomach acids can break down food. So the stomach is always going like this so that it mixes what you've chewed up with the acids in your stomach and helps break it into smaller pieces. You might notice that it's kind of tilted one direction. So anyway, the next one is the liver. The liver is in the digestive system. It's a roundish kind of three-sided organ across the lower front of the rib cage, and it manufactures bile to break down fat in your diet. If you've ever been sick and you've been throwing up, or if just something comes up in your mouth and it tastes burny, that's bile. Your stomach's probably empty, and you're tasting the chemicals that are breaking down your food, and that'll help break down fat. It says three-sided. You can see how this is kind of three-sided, and it's pretty big, and it's made of 3 different lobes, meaning it's broken up into 3 different sections. Okay, the gallbladder. Gallbladder is digestive, a tiny little gland behind the stomach and the liver, and it stores the bile made by the liver. So you'll see in the diagram, here's the liver, here's the stomach, there's the gallbladder, right between the liver and the stomach. So your liver makes bile, you don't use it, so it puts it in here, and then when you do need it, it'll put it in there. Having your gallbladder removed is pretty common. The small intestine is digestive. When the food leaves the stomach, it goes into the small intestine. It's a really long tube in the center of the abdomen. So you can see the stomach, and here it's going to go into the small intestine. You can see the small intestine in the center here. I can't remember how long a human small intestine is, but it's pretty long. It's like 20 feet or something like that long if you were to straighten that out. It says carries chewed food and processed food. Nutrients are extracted from the food here. So when you chew your food and it gets processed, when it goes in the small intestine, it's going to take out the nutrients that you need. Villi, I don't really have a picture of that, but on the inside of your small intestine, you have these little hair-like things, and they help push things along. They also increase the surface area of the inside of your small intestine, so there's more places to absorb the nutrients. So it says small intestine, when food leaves the stomach, villi, hair-like structures on the inside of the small intestine, and it increases the surface area inside the small intestine so more nutrients can be absorbed into the body. All right, so the last one on this page, and I think it carries on to the next page, is the large intestine. It happens to be part of the excretory system because now the stuff is starting to be removed from your body. It says, after the small intestine, food moves to the large intestine. Man, let me get the page turned, maybe. They're kind of stuck together. Food moves to the large intestine. Well, and it appears wrapped around the intestine. And then it says carries food matter, extracts water for use in the body, and at the end you'll find the rectum, which is where it's getting ready to come out of your body. So the small intestine extracts nutrients, and the large intestine extracts water from the body. So if I show you the diagram, you have the small intestine, and somewhere it attaches here and goes around this way, and this big one is your large intestine. The next one is your appendix. It's not used anymore. It's something we still have, but they believe it's part of the digestive system. And I'll tell you why in a second. A small finger-looking sac hanging off the large intestine on your lower right side. Your body no longer uses this. It can get infected, however, and make you very sick, possibly kill you. Scientists think it was once used to process bark in early man. So we do have, I'll show you where it is first, this little tag hanging off the bottom corner, and that would be your lower right side. So if your lower right side, like where your abdomen meets your leg, is painful, you might have appendicitis. Being that it's on the large intestine, you can see why it would get infected really easily. But they think early humans used to eat bark, like literally tree bark off of trees. And there's a lot of evidence for that. One, our diets for the last couple hundred years is very, very low on fiber. Scientists think our bodies would run a lot better if we got more fiber, but to get enough fiber, you just have to eat and eat and eat, and you'd be 10-ton tanny. So if you were to eat bark, that would be 100% fiber. So that's some of the evidence that we don't get enough fiber, and they think that the appendix must have done something to help break down bark or very fibrous foods. All right, the next one is the pancreas. It's digestive. It's a bumpy looking organ under the stomach. It produces chemicals to help digest food. Special cells called the islets of Langerhans produce insulin that digest sugars. When these cells malfunction, you get diabetes. So I'll show you on the diagram. You can see underneath the stomach, you've got the pancreas under there. And a lot of drawings, it looks bumpy. But like I said, if you really wanted something fun to watch on YouTube, there's a video by Al Yankovic. I think I spelled that right. Weird Al Yankovic with a Y. And it's called The Pancreas Song, spelled just like this. And he talks about the islets of Langerhans in the song. If you've heard of Weird Al Yankovic, he takes songs usually and puts new words to them, like he did a lot of Michael Jackson songs. So it'd be fun to watch. I usually show it in my class, but since you're not here. All right, so the next one is the kidney. Bean-shaped, red. You have two of them, one on either side of your spine and back. It filters impurities of the blood, and notice it's in the renal system. Let me find my diagram. All right, so here's the kidney, and you kind of see where it's at. Here's your kidneys. You have an adrenal gland on top, which are pretty important. And then the ureter is also renal. Each kidney has a tube from it to the bladder that carries fluid and urine from the kidneys to the bladder. So you can see here's the kidneys and here's the ureters that go from the kidneys into the bladder. So as your blood goes through the kidneys, the liquid and the impurities that are in your blood get filtered out, and the water flushes down these tubes into the bladder. That's why it's so important you drink a lot, because you need to filter out the stuff in your kidneys. Okay, I'll do two more and then we're going to go on to the next video. The urinary bladder is a rounded, stretchy organ in the center of the groin area, and it stores urine. It happens to be on the diagram right here. And then the urethra is also renal. It's a tube from the bladder to outside, and it carries urine out of the body. So it's a tube that goes from the bladder outside. That's where you pee from. All right, we'll start on artery in the next one.